I'm here with Iako Khomeriki, who is the president of APG Cargo, right?
Yes.
You're responsible for the brightest shining star in aviation now in the kind of post-pandemic period. We're going to talk about how cargo is doing, what APG Cargo is all about, and what the offer on the table is, and what is actually the forecast for the airline cargo industry in the near future, in the post-pandemic period. So first, a brief introduction to APG Cargo. You started a few years ago, but now it's on the rise.
Well, thank you for the question. But first of all, I want to say that APG it makes us already today a largest cargo GSA, one of the largest cargo GSAs in the world. We have right now covering 54 countries, and we have a very rapid growth. So we started 3 years ago. We had 27 countries. The next year we had 35 countries, and today we are in 54. And our main goal is to basically cover all world. We have key markets that we think it's essential to be, and our goal is that for next year we will be very close to 100 countries covering in the cargo as well. And this makes APG as an organization the largest cargo and passenger GSA network in the world.
So it's a global footprint.
It is definitely global.
What is the profile of the carriers that you're servicing currently?
Mostly our carriers are scheduled commercial airlines that they need sales and distribution and support in cargo all over the world. But of course we do handle in some areas cargo airlines as well.
So what is the offer that is on the table and the operating model of APG Cargo?
Offer on the table is our expertise, local experience, a long-time professional team which is already an expert on the markets, and our digital internal tools that we can provide and support airlines to make a faster sales, better presence on the market, and a very good exposure.
Currently the airline industry is recovering for its most fearsome crisis in the whole of aviation history. What are the lessons learned from this period? Because APG Cargo started just before the crisis and then went into this huge turbulence. How it felt, and what lessons have you learned from that period?
It's exactly right. So we started just a couple of months, or I would say 1 year ago, before a pandemic started. And I would say with some carriers, cargo seemed like less maybe important in aviation industry. And when you look at the commercial side, we had a 70% almost belly capacity in the world for air cargo, right? Which means that we had already passenger-driven belly capacities were taking cargo as well. But in the end, when pandemic happened, it was very clear how important cargo is. Cargo is really related to international trade. It's connected to something else, connected to economies, connected to production. So I think it's so vital and important to have cargo operating and up and flying. And this is very important to understand as well, that cargo volumes and demand did not really fall. The capacity fell. Demand was there, it's growing, only that supply chain disruptions because of pandemic happened, and because of this reason capacity problems. Unfortunately, there is not fast enough delivery, and we believe that this is a huge growing market, and over the years it will only go up and up, and I believe that we are in the right time.
Demand was actually on the rise, but
yes.
That bring the huge rise in the tariffs and in the fares for air cargo.
Because there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, because there's a lot of pressure from producers, and there's a lot of pressure from the capacity side. So it really ends up in higher rates in the end.
So every crisis brings opportunity. What is the opportunity for APG Cargo? Because you mentioned that most of your clients are actually commercial passenger airlines, which were grounded for almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Weren't you about to close down and say, okay, we cannot work with anyone apart from the cargo airlines, and now there is a new opportunity on the rise?
Actually, I want to say that even during pandemic, the countries that we are having, the cargo offices were really saved by cargo because they were doing and involved in cargo business. So even if it's belly capacity, there are most of the countries where we have offices, there were still limited number but operated flights. There were maybe a couple of months stopped because of the border closure, but it was quickly restarted, but with less passenger capacity and more focused on cargo, because we needed to deliver vaccines, we needed to deliver personal protective equipment, we needed to deliver a lot of stuff in many countries that we operate, the vital, important medical or supportive goods that it really needs countries to continue their existence, you know, in this crisis.
Yeah, it was an emergency situation.
It was an emergency situation, and for passenger side, I agree with you. It was completely down, but cargo really saved us, and the opportunity for APG, not only because that it saved cargo saved most of our networks, countries in our network. Opportunity is there that in many countries that APG has a presence, due to the globality of the network, we are on the map and we are on the radar of many airlines to give them standardized high quality service in the area. We have a couple of countries that just because of the huge network of APG and good contacts received a very big contracts in cargo. I cannot say the names now, but I can say that from the top 5 airlines in the world in scale, they already started to represent them in the countries where we were not presented before. So we give internal own big value, first of all, to our own network, being a big and key global player in the world, but on the other underside, we are like a fresh air, because we know that the market is quite dense with other representatives, and we knew that there are decades only 3-4 big players in the world, and we believe that APG will say a new word, fresh blood, from cargo perspective, because the department is also full with young team, professional driven team with all focused on sales, digitalization, focus on the people, which we believe that they are key, and their experiences where we have all over the world.
Last but not least, keyword, digitalization. Air cargo is lacking behind. It's quite legacy in terms of technology that is, or lack of technology behind its operations and services. What is the future going forward for the cargo industry? Because the passenger industry is kind of embracing now innovation. Not just because of the crisis, the process already started before that, but the crisis just accelerated it. But how about cargo? Is it difficult to operate in that kind of environment?
I think
where you see innovation in cargo?
Yeah, I think for the airlines it's quite difficult to implement to be fully digitalized in terms of sales and distribution, where there are some tools that they need to be digitalized for now, like e-airable and so on. But the question is different: how we digitalize our sales and our distribution and our operations in different markets. Do we need representatives in different markets? But I have to go below that, because it's important to underline e-commerce, which pushed completely supply chain demand completely on a different level, on a higher level. But when the producer having an e-commerce platform, it pushes freight forwarder. Freight forwarder needs to have some digitalized tool as well. Then freight forwarder has to push an airline. But in the end, as a final stop, I would say airport to airport operator, for airlines, I think for some of them it's a little bit difficult to develop e-platforms, because in the end you need to have a partner where you will basically sell your services, and only surface e-booking tools will let you only know what is happening in the market. You will already have direct touch with the agents. So it will take a lot of time still, I would say. Pandemic pushed us more to digitalization. I think everybody should think forward to make some steps in this regard, but I think it will still need some time until we will achieve some success.
Because it's just too complex, and obviously the weakest link is the airline.
Yes.
It's not the e-commerce who is driving everything and went into overdrive now over the...
And all this pressure from e-commerce and pressure from also agents are to airline, and the airline work is pretty manual right now. Everything is done manual. But the other chain of supply, it's already quite digitalized now, except air cargo for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For listening to you. Thanks.